Hello friends and welcome back. Well, I did mention in my most recent video that I created a few Oracle decks over quite some months and received them just last week. And these decks will add to my little homemade Oracle collection. I made a few probably about 3 years ago now. Nothing fancy. Sadly, I am not an artist, so I'm not going to be presenting some beautiful hand-painted artwork for you. However, I do love photography, and I fell in love with the idea of creating a few more Oracle decks after having a big clear out. And during that clear out, where I would estimate I parted with around 40 decks, that's tarot and Oracle combined. Tarot, not a problem, but I must admit I was quite surprised at just how many Oracle decks that I had. I'm not a collector. I don't have a big collection. I think all up I probably had about, I don't know if I had about 70, 75 decks, something like that. Let's just say 80 to be sure. So I've basically halved my collection. And to add to that, I started to find that should I put it this way? As I reviewed the Oracle decks that I had purchased over the years, there did seem to be a lot of doubles and triples using the same. There's a handful of prompts or keywords that were identical from one deck to another. I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from. So if you look at each deck respectively, they're absolutely fine and they're well within their rights to use whatever keywords they want, right? But as I collected more, I thought, gee, there seems to be, if they're not identical, it's a very similar theme. And I decided to part with most of those decks and have a think about what I would like to include in an Oracle deck. And I'm not saying those prompts aren't valid, but I just got to the point where I thought, as just one example, if I see abundance one more time, seriously. So I decided to really pay attention to some of the comments people make, like friends in conversations, clients, most definitely, when we're at a tarot sitting, and some of the experiences that they had lived through and were willing to share. Things that come to my mind as I'm sitting still or as I'm walking outside. Like, so many things come to mind if you open yourself up to it. And that's where I did gain a lot of my keywords and phrases. I thought I'm going to put maybe a quote here and there, a sentence or two. Let's just see what happens. So combine that with the fact that you can search, once you've got your keywords in mind, you can search amazing websites like Unsplash for a suitable image. And then what happens is, once you are searching, you'll get a whole lot of random images come up. And then that prompted me, because I loved the image so much, that prompted me to keep the image and then find a keyword to suit that image. So my decks are a little bit of both. And for that reason, I'm very grateful that I decided to take my time, allow this to be an organic process. And the whole idea was to allow myself to enjoy the process as much as the end result, which of course is holding the deck in your hand and using it. But just what is the rush? It's not like I have nothing to use in my library currently. And yes, I was very keen to get them home and start practicing with them. But I just felt that it's highly likely that things will evolve, things will change, and it's highly likely I may change my mind over certain images, and that is exactly what happened. There was nothing that I found over the months that I decided I didn't like, but there were other images that came along and other keywords that popped into mind as the months rolled over. So I did remove some images and replace them with others. So you can see here, this deck is very thick. There is, if I remember correctly, 108 cards. This is a deck that I'll get to later in the box. This is also 108, which I created a while ago now, but they're all interrelated. And the two at the front here are 36 each. And I mean, you might be thinking, well, why did you make 236? Why not just combine them and do one big deck? I could have. I finished one off and I was literally about to send them off to print, and as I suggested, a few other things came to mind, and I started a new deck because I was going to go in a different direction. And as it happened, no, everything just began to blend and almost intertwine, but I decided just to leave them as two separate decks. So in order to tie them together, I decided to just make sure that the images I chose for the backing were all in keeping with each other in a sense. As an example, these images are quite soft, and you could suggest sort of some nice natural tones. So if I wanted to combine these two and place them in a basket and shuffle them all up, I certainly can. It's not the end of the world. They both have water on them. It's the seaside. So I can, and even the colours of this one here do blend in also. So it doesn't really matter. It's just the way things turned out. So just before I show you the decks, I can't remember if I said this earlier because I'm recording this for the second time, forgive me. I've decided that what I'm going to do is, instead of making this one long video and showing you all the cards, it's going to go on and on. I know I can put some timestamps, but I think what I might do is I'll show you perhaps one of the smaller decks now, and then I will do a part 2 and a part 3. So we'll go this deck followed by this one. But before I do, I'll just show you quickly why I went with the free stock images, besides the fact that I'm no artist, so I can't do my own beautiful paintings. But it's just a little bit different also from the first deck. These are bridge size, by the way. This one here obviously has a brighter back, and I very intentionally made all the cards quite bright. And so you can see they all have one keyword, but then there's a passage that follows. So that was the whole idea. This was meant to be very wordy. So there are times when I think this is perfect for what I need, and then there are other times I wanted to keep things very, very simple. So the next one I did is just a plain white card, and all it was one keyword. And then later on I just thought, there's a lot of white space, which I knew. I mean, I knew what I was getting myself into when I first created this. But I decided just to hand draw, as you can see. See what an artist I am? I'm just amazing, aren't I? But I really wanted, what the idea was, I wanted to make up a symbol for each word. And I thought, what? This is, I can't remember how many cards, maybe 56 cards in this deck. I thought, I'm going to be here for the next 5 years deciding on, symbols that I make up myself. Forget it. So it's, in all honesty, the idea behind this was have fun, don't take it too seriously, and just draw the first thing that comes into your mind. Don't sit there trying to make things up and make it perfect, because that's what I do. I want to make things perfect, and I go over it and over it and over it. So it is wonky, and folks, I love it. I love it because it's wonky. I mean, get this. Looks like a 4-year-old did it. But I think that's the whole point. My inner child loved this exercise, and I used this deck more than I ever imagined I would. So that's what I was using those two decks for quite a while, one being very wordy and the other one just being a little more impactful via 1 or 3 words. So now we come to these cards, and what I might do is I'm going to pause for a moment and just readjust the camera to suit. Won't be a moment. Okay, so this deck here I named Awaken, and I will say I have adjusted the lighting a little bit on my camera. It's a little bit overexposed, sadly. It's just the glare that's coming through the window at this time, but I'm going to soldier on. And I just thought I would mention too, these little containers here, they are for playing cards, obviously. If you want to store cards, like little decks like this, in a drawer, which is what I have, and I'm going to do another video on that, these little containers are fantastic. Like, obviously you use the lid as well as 2 separate containers to store them. So if they're in the drawer, they're not going to slide around all over the place. These are Superior Smooth cardstock, and I don't know if I told you, I chose to use Printer Studio. It's not because I like them any more than Make Plain Cards. I just went there. I don't really know why. And I had, A fine experience, not a problem at all. So the Superior Smooth is quite slippery, I will be honest with you. And that is why I chose, instead of just leaving the deck as is in the drawer, this has been an absolute godsend. My client actually gave me a couple of these, and I might even grab another one. If you're going to make a chunky monkey, like this other deck, which I'll get into later, different story. So I just thought I'd throw that in. So let's turn the cards over, and I do hope the colour comes up a little bit better. So as I said, the keywords or the prompts are from a whole range of different experiences, as well as me just sitting down during quiet times and making some notes as to what I might like to include in a deck, but just trying to get it out of that, well-known, highly utilized themes and keywords that we normally see in a lot of the mass-produced decks, I would suggest. So this one here, stagnation is dissolving, emotions are stabilizing, your mind is clearing. We have a breakwater similar to this where I live, so I was really attracted to this image, and it's just so wonderful to clear your mind. Stop tinkering with your doubts and weaknesses and pour everything you've got into your innate skills and talents. Now, how often have we all done that? Doubts and weaknesses seem to take up more of our brain space than the wonderful gifts that we have. Take a moment to be with yourself. Pick one behavior that the person you want to become would do, and do it every day. You are one decision away from changing your life. What do you see when you look in the mirror? And I think this is a big one. And a lot of people don't really want to look at themselves in the mirror. They'll look in the mirror to put on makeup or brush their hair or whatever. But look yourself in the eye. That's a completely different story. I really like this one. If you're always attuned to the latest trends and what others are saying and doing, your inner voice may end up suppressed by all that noise. Unless you're willing to pause and check in, you run the risk of being sucked into the social dynamic. Don't lose yourself in all the buzz. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I just realised I'm a little bit far out. Sorry about that. Why didn't I do that first of all? So I hope, I just show you quickly. So there's the first one. The second one, just so in case you found it a little bit difficult to see. This is the take a moment. And what do you see when you look in the mirror? Okay, that's so much better. Now this here, I wrote down a few notes from it was a podcast, and someone made a comment, and I sort of, wrote down a few keywords here and there and ended up coming up with this. And so at the end of the day, don't lose yourself in all the buzz. Just, it's really easy to be swept away, let's be honest. Get clear. In what area of your life are you pretending to be happy? And this is another thing that came out of a conversation with a client. Playing the role. We're all actors on the stage of life, aren't we? But how often are we our authentic selves? How often do we give ourselves permission just to be who we are? We feel obliged to play that role. This one, I was so thrilled to find this image. That's another thing I wanted to mention. I was searching for certain specific things like this, woven material, weaving, all sorts of things. I did a number of different keywords and couldn't find something like this. I could only find an image of woven fabric, which was beautiful, but it was very pale. And I just thought it's just not going to show up clearly on the card. Well, that was my concern because I have text over the top of it. And I went back in about 3-4 weeks, and here this was. This is exactly what I was looking for. So if you're doing this kind of project, go back and take another look. It's surprising how new images can just pop up at any time. So this one is, take this as an opportunity to reweave the fabric of your life by pulling out any old threads associated with reoccurring themes that hold you back. Allow yourself to be led by the whispers of your heart. Now, cards like this, you can think, oh God, yes, okay, another cliche, and it's so sweet and sugary. But if you actually do this, I think this is very powerful. Like, how many people are walking around with a closed, wounded heart? How many people don't listen to their heart or don't listen to their intuition? So I think this holds so much more than appears to be at first glance. There's a certain peace that arises when you finally let go of doing in order to receive and being in control. So have faith and allow things to unfold. Things are easier than you've been allowing them to be. I think we've all done that once or twice. This one I love. I just love this image, and that's the first thing that came to me. Actually, you can. You can do it. You can take that leap. Wait a moment. This may be a blessing in disguise. So when times are a little tough, hang on, what are the lessons? And something really good could be growing out of this situation, even if it's internal. You're overthinking again. Uh-oh, that little habit. This is another one that comes out of a consult. You can't change the other person. You can't convince them to grow. It's not your job to convert them, persuade them in any way, or save them. Yes, you mean well, but it's up to them to wake up. Allow them to find their own way. So as you can tell by the image, gently does it. Gently does it with the client, and recommending to them, gently does it with the person that they are, say, concerned about or trying to help. But sometimes we're trying to help when really we're making things worse. And the person needs to do it in their own timeline and in their own style, if you like. This one is another one. I love this young lady. Her face, her expression, and also her stance. And originally I had just her legs. It's just the way she's standing. You can tell what she's thinking just by looking at her legs and the position of her feet. And I would have loved to have included this in my portrait deck so she could be full-bodied, but there was just not enough room to put all the text. So I went with this, but look at her attitude. It's fantastic. So this is what I put. If you're feeling threatened by a difference of opinion, it's likely you're defining yourself by your viewpoint. The ability to tune in and consider another perspective is the key to an open mind. Allowing space for the possibility of reconsideration, along with a willingness to learn and, if necessary, stand corrected, is certainly a wise step towards personal and spiritual liberty. I wrote this out of a personal experience that I saw where it was just incredible to watch. And just watching other people on their journey, quietly observe other people on their journey. And I had to grab a piece of paper and write a few thoughts down. This is another image I fell in love with, and I struggled for a long time to come up with a key word. But I put perfect possibilities. It's almost like this ship. It's a sailboat, is about to go. It's a catamaran, in fact, by the looks of it. It's about to go into a portal, and I just looking at those beautiful sky and the reflection in that calm water, it's like, wow, anything is possible. This is just so stunning. And, we're on a journey, right? So it's stillness at the moment, but we're moving in increments towards this incredible new possibility. So this was just a little bit of fun. Instead of I don't know, I've just put uncharted, intangible, unknown, vague, formless. So that's obviously, if this comes up, something is a little bit of a mystery. Ritual. Accountability. The reward of patience is patience. Sometimes when things appear to be falling apart, they're actually falling into place. Kind of like a tower moment, I think, for this card. Be 100% yes to life. Your world is about to turn upside down. Just because your path is different doesn't mean you're lost. I love this one. Unfuckwithable. I actually saw that word written somewhere, and so I thought, okay, I'm using that. When you are truly at peace and in touch with yourself, when nothing anyone says or does bothers you, and negativity or drama cannot touch you. I really want to be unfuckwithable. It's never too late to start over. So important to remember. What are your primal inclinations? What is it that truly inspires you? Travel far enough to meet yourself. And I think that last line there is something many, many people will never do in their lifetime, which is really sad. So I really like that image for this. It gets you thinking. This one here, I put distressing. Love that image. It's absolutely amazing. I changed my mind about 40 times. As you would know, there are so many things. It could be warning, it could be ruckus, it could be destroy, it could be like you could just use so many different keywords for this. But I didn't want to go too crazy. I just thought distressing, it gets the message across because you just need to look at the image. This one here is, what's her name? Oh my God, I've gone blank. Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins is a very well-respected, internationally recognized speaker, motivational speaker. And this is one of her techniques, which I really love. There's obviously so much more to it, but this for me is a really good prompter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm not thinking about that. So if you've got those negative thoughts going around in your mind, and so you draw the overthinking card, and then you draw this. So you want to knock that cycle of negative dialogue on the head. You literally say to yourself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm not thinking about that. And it just takes you out of that space. And she said it does actually balance or assist to balance the right and left hemisphere of the brain. So I really like that one. Whoops. Amplify your intentions. So this is, say, for someone who says, oh, I don't know, I'm not feeling motivated, and I got out of my practice and I haven't done yoga for a while. And so this is saying, come on. What is it that you want? Put those intentions out there. Do a sigil, a spell, a chant, a poem, a dance, a walk, whatever you need to do, but do something. You are powerful. And this one here, make time to show some support towards others. Encourage them to step out from the shadows and shine their light. So this is about giving. Sit with your fear, listen to it, and then listen beyond it. I think that is something that instant gratification. I really like this card. It's like, what are you actually paying attention to? Again, if you're off your path and you're being distracted all the time, or allowing yourself, or you're sourcing distraction from the internet, from your phone, from social media, no, this card is just bringing it to your attention. Doors are opening for you. Expect synchronicities. And lastly, but not leastly, within us exists a warrior and a yogi. A warrior who is determined, who will push through and overcome. A yogi who is gentle, compassionate, who can flow with what is. We have the ability to tap into our inner warrior or yogi at any given moment. What's appropriate on this occasion? A call for surrender or a call for action? So that is it. That's my first deck of my deck sharing series. Hope you enjoyed, and what I will do is move on to the next deck in another video, because this is now 26 minutes long. So thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in the next video.